Great. We are live now.
Okay.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Elif. I'm an architect at CREE Buildings and have the honor today of being the moderator of our first CREE Insight. Just very briefly, for those who do not know CREE Buildings, CREE is an international construction collective for sustainable building solutions. We are orchestrating in Europe, Asia, and in North America. We deliver systemized timber hybrid buildings and dedicate our efforts to close collaboration with architects and engineers to bring integrated planning forward. So the CREE Insights are exclusive meetups for all planning disciplines to share and exchange know-how and lessons learned about different projects and their experience of designing with systemized approach. So today we are with Sergei Tchoban, the founder of Tchoban VOSS Architekten. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
We are happy to have you
here.
So Sergei Tchoban will give us an insight into their current work as well as their experience with the project EDGE Suedkreuz Berlin. And without any further explanation, I would like to welcome all our guests again and remind you that there's a chat available. So please feel free to post your questions and we will try our best to answer them towards the end of our session. And we will make sure that we have plenty of time for Q&A. Now, I would like to hand over the word to Sergei Tchoban to briefly introduce himself and then present the project and his work. Thank you.
So thank you very much for invitation from CREE. In fact, it was very, very interesting experience. And I can send already the next message that we work now on some other buildings with CREE System, because I think also timber hybrid construction points are quite important now in Germany. All buildings and name are in Germany. But also the experience, the system of CREE, I think is very, very good and very good integrating in many rules we have here in Germany. So far, it is really a very, very good way to combine level of design with a level of all rules we are confronted with by bigger buildings. As already was introduced, my name is Sergei Tchoban. I'm one of two partners, Tchoban and VOSS, in our offices, Hamburg, Berlin, and Dresden. We have here other partner in Berlin. Some of them were responsible as Stefan Lore, especially for the building with CREE on South Cross railway station. But before that, I like to introduce some other buildings. Maybe you know one or other of them. For example, that is in EDGE Hotel along the Spree River. The hotel is already maybe 10 years and still quite interesting, iconic building along the Spree in the east part. On the other side, it is a museum of architectural drawing, small but quite nice, I believe, museum with a load-bearing concrete structure you see, and with matrices made surfaces with drawings with the roots, let's say, of drawings. You can see also inside. The museum is dedicated to architectural drawing and to architectural illustration. Another smaller, but from my point of view, interesting building, mixed use between public spaces, offices, and apartments in the Ackerstraße in Berlin, middle part of the town, where the combination of brick and concrete elements makes quite deep shadows in the facade. And on the other side, this building is energy neutral in that case that it takes no energy from outlets, but produces all energy by itself. So far we have cold rent like warm rent, so everybody gets so much energy as needs, and so far it is very energy optimated building. On the other side, it is smaller skyscraper from the Berlin standards already, skyscraper 60 meters high. Of course, it's not skyscraper by international samples, but we are in Berlin not so high in the marks of height. And so far it is apartment building on the Spree, what is also one of significant buildings what I believe we made in Berlin. And then some samples already made by timber. That is a big aquatic sports stadium in Kazan, made for Universiade, international big games. Were in 2013 in the downtown of Kazan in Tatarstan of Russia. And there we made the frames 70 meters long, with timber construction and laminated timber construction and steel elements for universalization of timber construction. On the other side is a building in Nauen, is a public swimming pool, and made completely by prefabricated frames made by timber. And that is a new museum, will be made in Perm. Perm is the region in the direction of east in Russia, where all roof constructions would be made by timber. Especially interesting because Perm is like a town in the region with a lot of forests, and also the collection of this museum has a lot of wooden sculptures made for the old churches of Russia, and they're exactly in this big hall made also with timber construction. So now I come closer to the building we make in Berlin together with CREE. In fact, there is a big central office for Vattenfall, who is responsible for energy delivering in the big area of Berlin. And it is nearby to the South Cross railway station, a very important logistic part in the Schöneberg, one of big districts of Berlin, in the south of Berlin downtown. That is the situation now. On the left side, we have a site for our construction by the beginning, and that is a big logistic point complex of South Cross railway station, also together with parking places and underground stations, so all in all, right hub. And behind the railway station, it was made a big development of many residential, office, hotel, and of course public and shop elements. And the Vattenfall head office is, let's say, in the part what is very close to South Cross railway station. It has a square, and around the square two buildings. So like here we have a big square, Hildegard Knef Square, and along we have two buildings, and the big one has really a very impressive atrium, I hope very impressive, made also with timber construction, and you come in this atrium exactly from the main square. So why timber building? We make this development with our client EDGE, and EDGE is not only a very important client from Netherlands and now Germany, but it is also a very important developer for green systems of office building. Very famous for that already in many countries. So far, also here was very important key point to speak about green building, DGNB Platinum certificated, and as a sample, wood hybrid construction as a core point of all development. And I must say, we began to do that just since the beginning of our development of project. And nearly to the beginning, we knew that the CREE system is very interesting, because we have many systems we research now on and use them, but CREE system also from the logistic point, from prefabrication, but also from the aesthetic points, I found personally very, very important, because you see the beams in the interior, you see the columns in the interior, you see timber interior and timber construction like a very important part of the building. Not only that everybody explains to you that is timber, but you don't see timber because all of them is then made by white finishing, but you see really timber as a beam and column construction in the interior, what I found very interesting. Even outside, we will see big timber construction of this loggia. By the facade, we didn't allow to make timber that time, because the rules were that time, even now, quite strong to use timber on the outline of the facade. But as I told, you will see the entrance to the very big atrium, where you see the wooden trees standing inside, and you will see this big loggia made by timber construction, what speaks about timber as a main element in the building. You come in the atrium, in fact, from the square, and you have a possibility to go over all elements and levels of the building, over these trees, with platforms, with a possibility to drink coffee, to meet somebody, to speak, to discuss in this half open, half closed conference spaces are coming out to the loggia, what I explained just before. And all that under wooden and steel hybrid construction of roof with very good acoustic quality also, because it's not a glass, it is plastic elements, are very good for sunning protection, but also for acoustic reasons. So the atrium is the main point for connection of people. I hope the times of Corona are soon forever, and then the connection for office building will be the main point of attraction in any office building. And this atrium will play this big role in the connecting all people together by the complex of Vattenfall. You come in through the entrance lobby and go inside in the main lobby. All windows are making also by wood, and for the construction inside of the atrium, I decided to make different variants. The idea was every time the same, to have the different levels where the people are going over and connecting each other over different levels as a big team, as a big society, community inside of Vattenfall. And at least this idea was chosen with wooden trees. And in fact, now it is nearly ready. I have seen just today very impressive photos from the finishing, from the cladding of wooden construction along the trees with the steel bridges of staircases and the bridges. So you can come, in fact, in every floor, in every entrance hall and elevator hall, from every level, but also you can come on the terrace level, what I explained about, and see from inside as well as from outside this pergola construction made by timber. But you can see, of course, in every interior and see there the beams and the columns made also by timber. That is a sample of finishing of these columns, of this like big trees or mushrooms are staying in the atrium. And so you go over these platforms for communication on every floor and can decide how you go by foot or with elevators and how you organize your time on the terrace on the 5th floor. That is the idea. You are by every entrance hall of every floor with this sky bridges of trees. How it looks from upstairs, you begin in the ground floor. You have at the ground floor also the big gastronomic area for employers, and also conference spaces, and then you move yourself upstairs and can meet other people in the floors or on the platforms. So wood hybrid construction brings a lot, as we know. It's saving time because it's pre-constructed and pre-fabricated system. So the elements with 2 windows and 3 columns are coming already on their side, and also parts of the ceilings coming also prefabricated on the side, and bringing over each other. So you see really truly how your floors are building one over each other. That is very, very important. Brings, of course, a lot of ecological aspects, because wood gets CO2 from the air already by the life cycle, and after that, if it would be built in, so you measure this life cycle against your production cycles. So it is from the beginning very ecological material, wood, timber. And on the other side, it gives the possibility just by CREE system to integrate these smart ceilings inside of the wooden construction. So you see wood, but in the same time you see also all smart modular elements for air conditioning, for lighting, for acoustic, and so on. So you come as I told already, on every floor, and you are in the floor, and here you see that is, for example, the prefabricated element from here, from right to left, what comes like a ready element on the side, and on that will be made on top this element or these 2 elements, 1 and 2 from the ceiling. So you get really parts, fragments of the building, and they are done coming over each other. So your construction time will be much more faster, and you see how your building in very clean montage situation would be what we grow up. Also, the windows are made by timber, and these smart ceiling elements are integrated between timber beams. So, in fact, you see like a Venice ceiling. You see timber elements in very nice rhythmic system, and also columns. But in between, you have all your MEP elements for creating of nice atmosphere in the building. So that's how it looks like before the smart ceilings are coming here inside. Here you see you see the elements, as the element is every time from here to here, for example, or it could be from here to here. And also the elements of wall could be from here to here, or with one window up to the system agreement. Here you see how smart ceiling would be integrated. There are media tubes are coming from the floor area. Floor area middle part would be normally made by concrete, and this prefabricated timber system goes on the middle part and create their load-bearing structure in the middle. And from that middle part, the media are going inside of two beams, and then their smart ceiling element would come inside. So that is a connection between column. In this case, we had to make a concrete element because we are in the first floor where we need a little bit more load-bearing quality. But in normal part, as I told already, timber columns, timber beams, and concrete round element along whole building where the timber beams are coming inside. So that is the idea. You have columns by timber, you have beams by timber, you have here concrete element, and you have here also concrete 10 centimeters only element connecting the timber and bringing them to a T-form element of ceiling. So you have 28 centimeters of timber and 10 centimeters of concrete. So you have 38 centimeters together, and we have very, very nice beam and flat construction over every floor. And in the middle, as I told already, in the middle you have this central communication coming then left and right to the smart ceilings. The terrace on the 5th floor, it is very important public level, what made completely by timber. As the upper floor, you come here and you are in the warm or in the cold part, dependent from the weather. And you see this timber construction also from outside, so it is like a really is a big poster of whole building you see from the square, from the railway station, and so on. That is already the step of the construction. What we are over, we are much longer already, and you see already the whole facade. But there were the pictures from the, let's say, from the winter, late winter, and you see already the timber construction how is coming out by the loggia. And that is what we see already now. It is still rendering, but we see in the reality nearly the same. How on the terrace you see like under wooden pergola, and you see also here in the construction this all timber elements are coming out and creating like a grid in the interior exterior of a loggia. That is the idea of how it looks like out. Also, I must say that the aesthetic of timber brings our relationship to a dimension of the construction in another direction. If before, for some years, we have spoken every time about thinner and even thinner constructions, you shouldn't see any dimensions of the construction. The construction should go away, and you see just very minimalistic elements. So by wood, this is completely other. You see by wood the elements, you see the big sizes, and the quality of the sizes, the quality of surface, the quality of joining of these elements has its own aesthetic, and that is really wonderful aesthetic from my point of view. Here you see the connection between timber elements and timber under construction for the windows. And here you see also many joints outside on the terrace, how it looks like now. The roof system is, in fact, EDFE foil roof, as I told. That is plastic elements, but they are very good for the acoustic reasons, and the air comes inside or outside of these elements. So you can create different parameter for your acoustic reasons. And also for your sun protection reasons. It is very nice system. You see it here together with the construction elements. So everyone has this form. So you see there are 3 layers of every element, and with the air pressure you can bring 2 levels together, then your sun protection would be stronger, or you can bring with the air all 3 levels in the distance from each other, and then more sun or more light will come through. So you can create different systems of sun protection, and we have create very good acoustic possibilities, because the surface of this element is much softer as glass and gives much better conditions for cleaning and for acoustic reasons. That is the idea how it looks like now. That is a point and sun protection of the middle and upper level of these elements, Teflon elements. And here you see wooden construction, and here you see steel constructions underneath of wood. So this is combined wood and steel construction. Here you see how it was brought on the side, on the construction side. It was created downstairs on the ground floor and brought then with the crane to the upper floor. And how it looks like now, together with the timber construction of pergola in the fifth floor with the loggia outside. So, as I told already, acoustic characteristics and minimization of service efforts by cleaning are also good points for this type of atrium roof, made not by glass, as I told already. That is this roof, but altogether wooden windows, pergola, wooden trees, wooden timber construction of roof, altogether bring the feeling of very warm and really very nice and outstanding atmosphere in whole building, and also in the middle point in the atrium. Also outside, as I told, these wooden elements would be big point where you see it is made inside by wood. You come in and you see all reflections of timber construction. Thank you very much. I would be glad to answer your questions and to go in the discussion.
Thank you very much. That was really interesting to listen and see. So I was actually in Berlin in August, and I crossed from the Suedkreuz station. So I had a glance through the train and saw the building from the outside. Now it, of course, looks very different. Construction has moved forward. And I'm really, really excited to see the interior, the atrium on December, when we finally hope visit Berlin. So thank you very much. I have a comment from Hans Rösch. He actually wanted to stress out the advantages of timber, and by saying that you also smell the timber, which makes for a very cozy atmosphere. And I definitely agree. So we work here in the CREE headquarters in this beautiful CREE building, and every day when I enter the office, it's a really positive atmosphere, and I'm sure that all employees from Vattenfall will feel the same.
Yeah,
definitely. So right now we have no questions on the chat, but I do have questions of my own. If you don't mind, I would like to ask them. First one is a bit technical. So you talked about the acoustical challenges and how you overcame them in the atrium area. But have you also faced some acoustical challenges in the interior of the office, or has timber concrete more advantages over mass timber buildings? Was there any challenge regarding meeting the regulations?
Well, from itself, timber concrete construction has better conditions for acoustic because it is not so strong and hard surface of a volume. But through the different heights of timber constructions, that you have beams, they are more downstairs, and you have flat elements of concrete of this hybrid ceilings. You see the possibility to integrate these acoustic elements, what you do normally also in the building made by concrete. But here you have dedicated places for that, and that is very practical and very good to involve the acoustic acoustic solutions in this hybrid timber.
Great. Yeah, that's a very common question from everyone who want to build with timber construction at the first place. I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, as far as I know, this was actually planned as a low budget project in the very, very beginning, and then changed a little bit further for a really green forward construction. Were you involved with the project from the very beginning at those times, or did it change?
No, I was involved, in fact, from the very beginning, and I wouldn't say it was planning like a low budget project. You cannot make really low budget by big office building with all challenges. What brings a big headquarter building in this area. But in fact, we discussed from the beginning which key points we can use to make this building like especially a sustainable building. And of course, you can try to create it also with a traditional concrete construction. But very early, we discussed about the possibility to make this warm atmosphere and to make this especially ecological reason. For that time is the biggest office building in Germany, made by timber hybrid construction. So far, the idea to make it with timber was from the beginning, and as far as from the beginning, we were very excited about experience with CREE. So far, we were all the time in exchange with experience of CREE, in fact.
Yeah, my next question would have been, how did you get in touch with CREE, or when did CREE came onto the table?
Somehow we knew it together with a client nearly on the same time, and we knew that in Austrian CREE made a lot of very positive experiences and is on the way to Germany and making there also big buildings. So we understood also it is our way of aesthetic, because as I told, by flat ceilings, it can happen you don't see wood at all after you're covering it with tubes, with under ceilings and so on. By beam constructions, you see the ceiling with timber. What I like very much, if we use timber, we have to see timber inside. We have to feel the warmness and the special atmosphere of timber, and not perfectness of timber. But what is also very interesting, this lovely character. So you don't see normally we were in the former time, every time on the way to make the surface perfect and even more perfect and even more clean. And by timber, you see the life on the surface, and you don't think about to make them like painted or like finished. You use and you feel this unperfectness in combining with very warm atmosphere of this color and this unperfecting thing. That is what I think is amazing, and that we have seen in the already constructed buildings. by CREE, and that's why we told, okay, that's our system, because we have beams, we have columns, we see timber everywhere, and still we can very good integrate all technical aspects.
Yeah. Experiencing the structure of the building is a really great aspect and brings a lot of architectural impact on the building. I definitely agree. CREE has moved to Germany over the years, but I think this Vattenfall SXB Berlin will have a great impact on the timber hybrid offices in general. You mentioned at one point that you looked into different systems as well in the beginning.
We have spoken about flat or not flat ceilings. Mm-hmm. That is, I think, for me, most important. Do we work with beams or do we work with flat ceilings? For me, it was fixed from the beginning. We would like to do it with beams because, as I told already, for me, is this grid of beams along the big open spaces we see now in the building. It is very important key point of interior extraordinary presentation of the building to tenants.
And these beams actually also provide a rhythm and very standardized, systemized approach to the building.
Right. It is real prefabricated building. You see it on the construction side, how the parts of the out wall, how the parts of the ceiling are coming, joining together on each other, and then you see the building like big constructor. You are really fascinating how your building is growing from day to day, and that is not as like a dirty system where you make forms and bring concrete and forms are over, and it is from the beginning on the construction very warm smell, very warm atmosphere, and very exciting interior. So we were coming with the people, I know, like for beginning of 20, like for 2 years, and they were first 2 floors made by timber, and the people are coming and told, oh, I like to stay here. But we were just in the normally in the concrete like box if you would do it traditional way.
Definitely. Have you had challenges while designing with such a systemized way as well? So sometimes it's really hard to fit all the design intent into a standardized modular building system. But as far as I understand, you knew it from the very beginning, designing from the
yes, if you develop it from the very beginning, so you have not a problem with. Of course, right angle form makes it simpler. We had some not right angle in the ground construction because of the plot. That's what in fact would be changed, also made possible by timber construction. But I am sure you can create any element of this timber hybrid construction to any form. That's only the question of maybe more or less possible element. What could be then modified. But in fact, this beam structure, I mean, it is the oldest what we know, because in the older time you had columns and then you had the beams. If the temple or church or something like this was round, they were round beams along. If it would be right angle, it's right angle. But this keeping of space with columns and beams, it is something what we know from the beginning of architecture. And here we are coming more or less to the roots of the architecture, that you see the structural system visible and as a elementary grand system of any lot building structure.
So this was a modular system from the very beginning, and this helps, I believe, with the 3D planning and integrated planning as well. So you knew while designing the architecture, but you knew also the basic principles of the structural system and building services and how they would have been integrated from the very preliminary sketch. And how was your experience with this BIM, I would say, workflow of integration?
BIM is very helpful, of course, with this, because especially by the BIM construction, if you are crossing with some tubes or other MEP structures in the underneath, so you have to really approve your light in the light height, your height of under ceilings. So far, 3D BIM planning was, of course, very important and made from the nearly first day to the last. And so far, yes, we could bring over each other these all elements, all layers, the architecture with structure and MEP, and integrate in each other. So it was quite successful with BIM, of course.
Yeah, this is what we also want to really move forward, the digitalization of the planning and also the construction world, where everybody is on the same table from the very beginning and knows what the requirements are, what are the needs, and then designs accordingly, always in communication.
Yeah, nearly prefabricate planning tools, because by the next project we of course work already with pre-construction drawings with CREE, and ask them to prepare the tender documentation that we give to a constructor, just ideas how to build together, so they can maybe propose something else, but at least they know how they can do in any case. That's very important. This pre-construction planning tool, what you bring together with CREE is an optimum, and then you can give this picture already in 3D, in 3 dimension, in BIM over next steps of the planning.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have one question from Valerie Thompson. She said, are you planning to use this system or mass timber in other projects? I think it's more a general system if you prefer a timber hybrid system like this or a mass timber system.
Well, mass timber system is in Germany still difficult by the big buildings, because it is still the problem of license. And that's why, in fact, I plan 3 other timber hybrid constructions. They are all similar to them what I have shown. They're different from their details, but similar by the structure. And the building I have shown before, this public swimming pool in Nauen, that is completely timber frame construction, but it's small building, it's just 1 floor. But if you build today 5-6 floors office buildings, for example, you are on the good way to make it as hybrid timber. With concrete, to bring this horizontal interruptions for the fire development in the unbelievable but unfortunately possible case of fire of Brent, and then you stop with the timber with the concrete elements this development. Also, timber elements are very, very good. In fact, we didn't make in this building even water protecting, sprinkler protecting, because this timber laminated construction is very good against Brent. But and on the same side, you have just other rules if you make just massive timber and not laminated timber, because laminated timber is of course very, very much better against fire, also against fire, better for fire protection. And for more storied buildings, it is of course a big point.
Yeah. So when you look at this system, as you said, all the timber components are somehow encapsulated by a timber layer on top and on the perimeter, definitely has an advantage. And also, for example, why we choose these central core elements out of concrete for higher buildings is depending on the fire resistancy. CLT walls could as well be stiffening, but then you have to cover for the escape routes and everything. So concrete definitely brings advantages. And in this building, in CT1 where I'm sitting, we had a sprinkler system installed because that was the regulation. And after the building was built, the fire authorities came for inspection and they said that we don't need it. So there's a
that is exact what happened by Berlin building. They recognized they don't need it by chance before it was built. It is much better.
Definitely.
And on the other side, by massive wood, it is completely other behavior, because massive wood is, let's say, worse against fire as a laminated wood, what in that case much better protecting against fire.
Definitely. Yeah. So actually, one of my questions was if you would consider designing with CREE again, but you already said that you're thinking.
I will do it in opposition. I say to every client that if we like to come forward fast, we have to decide about the system by chance before, because it is now, especially in Germany, because you have a lot of rules, a lot of differences to build with timber. You need to be supported from some licensed system. Of course, you can do anything, and you can get at least license for everything. But if we speak about budget optimated building process, we have to be supported from the licensed system, and we try then to make the system passable for the building and make building passable for system. And that is the way we have to begin as early as possible. So I begin it, of course, by all my buildings to plan here from the step 2, like a beginning of design development, and then you are far away from the looking after general contractor. So you have to decide what kind of system you make, and in this case, pre-construction experience with CREE is very important for me, and also very optimal, because you can decide about all points before the points are coming after. You are really pre-constructed in your thinking, because you know exactly which system you give in, and how your main tubes of MEP are going in the concrete area, let's say, how your cores are going down also in concrete, and then how you go with a wooden construction from this main points, and you go with the beams and then columns to outside and bring this timber relation. And in this case, I think it is very, very good system, and I do it, in fact.
Great to hear. It's very encouraging to hear that from you as well. So one thing that aligns a lot is because what we want to do is to share this experience and lesson learned from every project with all the partners we are working with, so that we can move forward faster with every upcoming project, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel in every time we build.
The thing is that with timber, we are here in Germany, for example, we are not so more streets to go as, for example, by concrete. By concrete, like everybody can make concrete. By timber, you have to do with system, and it has also something to do with ecological reason, with the budget reasons, and so far you have to create this system, because monolithic concrete you can make any form, like a sculpture, but it has this negative economical and for all of things ecological reasons, very negative. And if you go in the pre-constructed element, it's like a children game, like a construction. You think about you make your experience, you build it together in your mind, and after that you give it to the contractor, and he knows exactly how to build it together, and then your construction time, your all processes of prefabrication are going much faster and much much more precise.
Definitely. So we have last 10 minutes of our talk, and I would like to remind our audiences, if they have a question, they can still post it on the chat. And I also want to ask you a general question. Where do you see the potential of green buildings on systemized and integrated planning in the future of construction industry? I know that there are a lot of pressure from governments, from especially in the EU, to go for green buildings. How would you also fit that into the architectural world?
As I told, I see enormous potential in the prefabrication and in the prefabrication also of, let's say, design ideas, because you don't need to design outstanding any element. If you like to be ecological, you have to spare like time also on some design tools. You don't have to be outstanding at any point. You can choose for you where you like to be outstanding, like we by Atrium or by some public hotspots. But if we have nice and ecological approved systems, from them we can like construction, like a children game, made all building and bring in this building some hotspots for spaces or for design ideas. That I think very good way, because in the former time, so I understand, it was every point was outstanding. Every point had to be designed like for the first time, and that is what takes time, what takes money, what takes some difficult situations on the construction side. And by timber, you have a possibility like prefabricate your design product. You make like a pre-construction of all design product. You can describe them in the drawings, in 3D drawings before, and give to the contractor and say, okay, you bring only the things together. And I think so far we would think in this direction. So more we would spend time and money on only on the right things, not on everything, because if you are ecological neutral, you can make, of course, any sculpture from any material, but we are not ecological neutral. We have to spare our time, and we have to think much more optimized in the ways how to create the project.
That's a great way of thinking, and I think this way of thinking will bring more and more timber hybrid projects forward.
Yes. It was also in the former times so that as people in the old times created these block houses or wooden houses, they knew exactly what a system is, and if they have seen, okay, I like to make the roof a little bit with other angle or with other detail, or the frames of windows a little bit other, I do that. But the system is the system, and the system goes with some differences, but not with extremely differences, and of course the feeling, I would say wrong feeling, that everything is possible. Also for the time it was a sentence, everything is buildable, everything is possible. Yes, everything is possible and buildable, but not for any price. And not only for the price's budget, but also for the price's ecological damage. What we produce with enormous constructions, with enormous extended ideas, what might be wonderful, but on any point it shouldn't be done, because you don't. You have no possibility now to spend energy or money on any point. You have to choose where you spend and where you spare.
Absolutely. So everything is possible. What is the consequence?
Yes, everything is possible, but if it's reasonable, that's a question we are standing inside.
Yeah, I have one question again from the audiences, from Nikolai Peterson. what is the CREE module used in this building, and what challenges have you experienced with planning the placement of office furniture along with the lighting and ventilation within these modules?
The model is 135. That is a normal office model between axes of beams, and inside your can integrate very good also your office furniture, and you integrate in this smart ceilings also light and acoustic panels. And this model 135 and axis is that model we use also normally for concrete offices.
Yeah.
So I would say that CREE in that case has developed the system in the supporting on the office system they had before, because normally they had also every window 2.70 meters, and in the middle of window you can come with your wall, so you can create also every 135 you have independent panel for acoustic light and all MEP, and you have a window in every 135x, so you are good lighted, you can open every second window, so you are completely flexible.
Definitely. That 135 was based on the European office market. And for example,
yes, it comes in the former time from the parking garage reasons, because in 135 multiplied by 3 or by 2 is 270 one parking garage place, but it is in the former time, and nowadays 135 is most usable model to make all constructions and all offices. So you have 270 small office and 405 for bigger offices for 2-person, or you have open spaces.
Yeah, and the system in that sense is very flexible as well. So depending on the market, in UK it's mainly 1.5 meter office layouts, and then it could be adapted to that and as well.
I believe you can create the system by different model, but in Germany, in fact, 135 is the system you use much more.
Yeah, definitely. I do not have any questions from the audience. Maybe my last question to you would be, if you want to choose one really important learning out of this project, what would be? I mean, I know we discussed in overall what are the advantages, but the one most important.
I would say pre-constructed. That means decide quite early which system. I would vote for your system with both hands, and pre-construct and give up. And there are a lot of other points you can compare the prices, but don't be too flexible, because too much flexibility by office building, for example, brings also a lot of different ways, could be very different in budget. What might be good by small apartment building, by very small building, but by systemized office building, I would say pre-constructed and concentrated on the hotspots you like to create very outstanding, and bring the surrounding quite typical to optimize times and budgets.
Yeah. Thank you very much. This was all very great to hear it from you, and thank you very much for your time and presentation as well. So so we have come to the end of the session. It's almost 5 p.m. here in Europe, and I would like to end it. But before, I would like to say that we will have more CREE insights like this, where we get an insight to different projects with our different partners. And if you would like to be informed, you can follow us on YouTube or LinkedIn. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us in any time. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elif, and I appreciate very much to be invited to this really very important thing, because I think ecological and from the systematic and aesthetic, it is really a very exciting way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I wish you a very nice day.
You too. Thank you very, very much.